Example number 9, we're reflecting a graph horizontally and vertically. We're going to reflect the graph of s of t, which is equal to the square root of t, vertically in part A, and then horizontally in part B. So in part A, we're reflecting the graph vertically means that each output value will be reflected over the horizontal t-axis, as shown in figure 13. Because each output value is the opposite of the original output value, we can write the following. We can say s of t, which is equal to the square root of t. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a negative value and multiply it by s of t. So therefore, v of t is going to equal negative times the square root of t. So again, you can see where the negative is being applied to. It's on the outside of the function, which means that we're going to graph that vertically. So here in green, we can see that this is what our original function looks like. If we multiply that entire function by a negative value, then we can see it reflects, over the horizontal axis. So we get v of t, which is equal to negative square root of t. So again, applying the negative symbol on the output or outside the function reflects the graph vertically. Let's take a look at that on Desmos. So here we have the square root of x. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add a negative and then put in the square root of x. And you can see here that it reflects it over the x-axis, about the x-axis. So that's why they say it's reflected vertically over the x-axis. Now let's take a look at part B. Now, again, notice that this is an outside change, again, or a vertical shift that reflects the output, s of t values. So again, the negative sign belongs outside the function. Now horizontally, reflecting horizontally means that each input value will be reflected over the vertical axis as shown in figure 14. So because each input value is the opposite of the original input value, then we can write the following. Again, our original function s of t is the square root of t. Create a new function h of t, which we're going to take a negative value and multiply it by the input. So we get s of negative t. Therefore, h of t is equal to the square root of negative t. And you can see that it reflects on the vertical axis. So applying the negative symbol on the input or the inside of the function reflects the graph horizontally. So let's take a look at Desmos. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to write the square root function and then put the negative on the inside of the radical and then put x. And now you can see that here is it being reflected according to the vertical or the y-axis. So it's a horizontal change because you're basically applying the negative to the input. So that's why you're reflecting it vertically.